another episode of HCC MovieMakers Academy Movie Reviews. I'm Trey, Dixon.
And I'm Darrell, Thorman.
And we just saw The Gunman.
Will you work late?
I'm hoping not.
What are you doing over there?
You are the designated trigger, Jim.
I had a feeling. I did some bad things. We thought we were helping.
It never happened.
That's the way you want to play it? With me? The company's clearinghouse.
You ever have one of those days when everybody wants to kill you for something?
Jim, we have a surprise for you. She's a remarkable woman. Remarkable.
How many are there? Hey!
It's gonna be tough, Jim.
It's the one shot you got. It's the one shot she's got.
The Gunman.
The Gunman is the new film from action director Pierre Morel. It stars Sean Penn, Jasmine Trinca, Ray Winstone, Idris Elba, Javier Bardem, and Mark Rylance. The story centers on a successful military contractor who, after assassinating the Democratic Republic of Congo's Minister of Mines, is forced into hiding and 8 years later finds himself the target of a shady organization. So, Darrell, what did you think of this movie?
I thought it was shot really well for a mid to high budget film, which is pretty typical for action movies. You see a lot of, at least to me, it seemed very aesthetically pleasing in terms of visuals and everything. Sean Penn's acting was all right. Everybody else fit in enough that I wasn't questioning who they were in the story and whether or not they actually fit the role.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking around to see when the movie was going to end. I was actually paying attention to this.
Okay.
So I was actually connected to the story at some point.
I'm going to go ahead and get my positives out of the way as well. I feel like it is passably acted. I say passably because the performances aren't bad. They're not outstanding, but they're also not bad. Pierre Morel, who also did the first Taken movie, he's obviously trying to take Sean Penn and turn him into another Liam Neeson type character. And Sean Penn manages to pull it off for the most part. It's not entirely believable, but I bought it enough. I think that certain moments were exciting. I wouldn't say the action sequences in and of themselves were particularly well constructed. It's more of the standard close-up, cut to another close-up, cut to a tight two-shot, cut to another close-up type of stuff that we've been getting in a lot of action movies in recent years. But I would be lying if I said that it didn't have me engaged in certain moments. And I appreciate that they attempted to humanize Sean Penn's character. In the movie, they gave him a debilitating brain condition of which one of the many side effects is short-term memory loss. But as the story progresses, it starts to hamper him over the course of the movie. You see him having trouble in the heat of battle.
It's not just a simple injury like a gunshot wound that just won't heal completely because somebody keeps punching it or something. They actually, something that goes with that line of work, and it wasn't just dropped in his lap like, oh, you've got a brain condition.
Yeah.
They actually put it in the beginning, which humanizes him right there from the start.
When you watch the Taken movies, the only thing that's meant to make the audience care about this Liam Neeson character is the fact that he has a family to protect, as if that's ever enough to make us care implicitly about a character. So
That is every action movie in existence.
No, in fact, they don't even bother with most action movies anymore. They just give us a character and say, okay, now watch him shoot people. So I appreciate that they took time out of their schedules to actually try and make this character vulnerable. And that's it. That's all the positives I have for this movie.
That is all the positives from here on. It's generic, it is predictable.
It is a rehash of all of the action movie tropes you've seen. If it feels like you've seen this movie before, it's probably because you have. You just paid $10 extra to watch it again, just not done quite as well.
Yeah, it's an endless loop. You will look at it and go, are my friends watching it? I'm probably not going to watch it. If they aren't, oh, they're not watching it, I won't go. And if you do, you're going to come out of the theater like, I feel like I've seen this before, and you'll be like, I wonder why. It was all right. And then you go home, you see another movie just like it in the theaters on the list, and you're like, that looks like it would be good. And so you just decide, I'm going to go see it, and it's just an endless loop. You keep feeling like you've seen it before.
You told me when we walked out of the movie theater that it reminded you of the Bourne films, and it really does feel like it's trying to be a bloody R-rated version of the Bourne Identity, except the Bourne Identity has good characters and it's much more exciting.
It's much more in-depth towards their character.
I was constantly reminded of Antoine Fuqua's Shooter, which had that Mark Wahlberg character. I forget it was a series of books, but that movie Didn't entirely know what it was. This movie doesn't entirely know what it is. I picked up on something. I don't know if everybody's going to feel the same way about it. I feel like this movie was trying a little, trying to be hard to follow, like intentionally. And there are a number of reasons why a movie would try and do that. For example, in Christopher Nolan's Memento, Guy Pearce's character has short-term memory loss. And every time he forgets something, the narrative shifts backwards, so you, as an audience member, are forced to remember everything that you've just seen so you can piece it together later. And that works. The movie uses his short-term memory loss as a mechanism to revolve the story around. Very appropriate. With this movie, it just feels like the filmmakers are trying to make it intentionally hard to follow in order to provide the illusion that this movie is much more substantial than it really is. And there is little to no substance to this movie. It is a borderline exploitation action film about a guy who did a bad thing 8 years ago.
He shot some people, he regretted it, things happened, he was chased down for it later, which is as deep as that movie gets.
And as it is with most of these action movies, he has to shoot his problem in the face until the problem goes away. So This movie tries to be more than it is. It doesn't embrace what it is, which is trying to be an action movie, all right?
Yeah.
I was advertised an action movie, so don't give me this political resonant, we're going to talk
just about everything we saw in the trailer is just about every true action scene that was in the film.
It's about all the action there is in the movie, really.
Yeah, and I mean, they tried to throw suspense and drama in there, and I just didn't feel that because during those scenes, there was little to no score at all. I don't even think during the suspenseful parts there was
There's like
any
tones.
score.
There's like little drony tones, but nothing really.
It's room tones. It's things that you would hear in the background.
It's nothing.
Like just the creak of a board or something.
We're
We're
going to provide you the illusion that this movie actually has substance and it's actually trying to say something, but don't do that. You advertised an action movie to me, so give me an action movie. Movies like The Raid or John Wick or Dredd, which oddly enough was directed by Pete Travis, who also shares a writing credit for this particular script.
Which is actually surprising.
Yeah, I know. You wouldn't expect that. This movie has no idea what it wants to be. Dredd is the greatest B-movie tongue-in-cheek action film you could ever possibly watch. And there's even a scene in that movie where they attempt to shoot down particular development with a certain character. But this movie wants to go ahead and be an action movie, but it also wants to be politically relevant. Just be an action movie. It's so pointless. I'm not interested in anything that you're showing me.
Yeah, it was marketed as an action movie, just like the film Liam Neeson's film Nonstop. It was marketed as an action, but yet the majority of the movie had little to no action at all until towards the very end of the film, which is
how many action scenes are in this movie? There's the
3.
There's actually no. There's the first assassination. There's when the hit people come to take him down, and he gets rid of them. And then there's the thing in the.
I wouldn't consider the very first. I wouldn't consider the assassination part of an action film because it was more of a drama.
So
thing.
if we're going for sequences, then I guess probably more like 3 action sequences in the entire movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a schmaltzy soap opera wrapped in the guise of an action film that you really don't want to watch. There are so many movies that you would rather want to see, and this movie borrows from all of them. It borrows from The Bourne Identity. It borrows from Die Hard. It borrows from Taken, obviously, because it's done by the same director, but at least Taken knew what type of movie it wanted to be. At the end of the day, this is a really boring, really generic rehash, and I don't see any reason to watch it. It's a direct-to-Redbox type of movie that managed to get an A-list cast and a theatrical distribution because Sean Penn produced it.
I was actually very surprised that Sean Penn was in this film. I expected someone who was probably a B-grade actor or someone just almost unheard of, but then I hear Sean Penn's in it, and it's...
I saw the trailer, and I thought, okay, this might be cool because all of these are really good actors. Maybe we're going to get something that's a really smart action movie that, but no, we get this stupid melodramatic soap opera that has a handful of action sequences. So, yeah, ultimately, it's got some exciting moments, 1 or 2. The performances are passable, and they tried to humanize his character, which is something that I'm very proud that they tried to do that. A lot of action movies don't even do that anymore, so that makes it stand out. But ultimately, like I said, if it feels like you've seen it before, it's probably because you have. On a scale from 1 to 10, I would very generously give it a 4.
I'm going to give it a 5. It's better than I expected. I expected it to be so generic, I was just not even going to want to talk about it. But I was actually slightly impressed with how they performed in this film. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10.
Okay. If you're genuinely interested in seeing this movie, then wait for it to come out on Redbox, because that's what it is. It's a Redbox movie that has an A-list cast and a very short, very short theatrical release. Thank you for watching HCC MovieMakers Academy Movie Reviews. We love films, and if you love films, then check out our website at www.hccs.edu and enroll yourself in the art of filmmaking. Visit our channel on YouTube and subscribe if you would like to receive alerts on more videos just like this one. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.